And so then I said, well, we have to also lay the foundation for bringing out these new technologies. Now, many people believe, mistakenly, and I was having someone help translate the introductory remarks. Thank you very much for your kind words. But I want to be clear on something. A lot of people think that these technologies have all come from the studying of UFOs that have been shot down or something. This is not true. There has been reverse engineering and study of these sort of technologies, and I know men and women who have worked in those programs. But remember, the laws of the universe have a very nice coincidence. They're universal. And so if they can be developed in Alpha Centauri, or the Pleiades, or any galaxy, they can be developed here. And guess what? Through the minds of people, beginning in the late 1800s, this knowledge started coming through. Nikola Tesla, for example. T. Townsend Brown, who started doing in the 1920s anti-gravity, high voltage electromagnetic effects where things would levitate and lift. He then developed this with a professor at Princeton who worked with Einstein, Dr. Biefeld, and it was called the Biefeld-Brown effect. So these things were done independent of any extraterrestrial study of craft. However, when we did finally, tragically, shoot a few of these down, starting back with Roswell and perhaps earlier, using electromagnetic weapon systems, we did study it, and that augmented, that propelled and further provided an augmentation to some science that was already being studied. See, so it's more complex than most people have been presented. I'm trying to give you this background so you understand. Now, eventually, by 1954, and I can give you the month, October 1954, it was decided that all of these technologies, which had begun to be reported openly in the aerospace journals, you can go back to the late 40s and early 50s and read about them. Absolutely. They're there. You can find them. But by October 1954, this secret government, this cabal that had hijacked this whole issue out from underneath the president, out from underneath other world governments, and became an entity unto itself, decided, we're slamming the lid on this, and this is not going to be printed, talked about, discussed anywhere, top secret, black, deep black. That was October 1954. So I was not yet a twinkle in my father's eye when all of this went black. But I tell people that the tragedy here is that since before I was born, and now I'm a grandfather, we have not needed oil, gas, coal, or jet engines, rockets, or surface roads between cities. Think how many billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars are spent on roadways and how much destruction to the environment. We haven't needed those since Eisenhower launched the Eisenhower interstate system in America that's now crisscrossed with these superhighways spanning the whole continent. Now imagine what a civilization from another star system might think, seeing such galactic stupidity. Oy. Ultimately, that is the problem we're trying to correct. It is 50, 60 years of unbelievable corruption and misguided policy that has become entrenched. But doing so now is much more difficult than it would have been in 1902. And if you go to the orionproject.org, it's all one word, the Orion Project, O-R-I-O-N, Orion, like the constellation, project.org, you will see a photograph of Nikola Tesla with a guy, a self-taught engineer named Stubblefield, standing with the Capitol dome of the United States Capitol behind them after they had shown members of Congress this generator that was like an earth battery, some stakes in the ground, and they would get it running, and it would run itself from this energy field, and the man was running his farm on it. 1902. So let me go back. We haven't needed oil and gas, nuclear power didn't exist then, since 1902. Now, you talk about a crime against humanity and the earth. This is the big one, a huge one. And it's all about corruption of power. And it's time for the people, all of us, to stand up and say, okay, enough of this stupidity. We're better and wiser than this. Let's unite together and bring out these new sciences. Now, if it were easy, it would have been done in 1902. Nikola Tesla had his technologies suppressed. Westinghouse, J.P. Morgan, the Rockefeller family, they did not want this to be known because it would upset their apple cart in 1902, just like the apple cart would be upset in 2009. But you know what? In 1902, the world had less than 2 billion people. Only a fraction of them had electricity and were using oil and gas. Now we have 7 billion people, and we have 1 billion motor vehicles on the road. So we have become more addicted and more addicted and more addicted and more addicted into this paradigm of a planet-killing system. And that is what we must go past and beyond and leave that behind. Whatever people will say, oh, it would be too disruptive to the economy. What will happen to the petrodollar? How about unemployment in the energy sector? Well, there'll be new jobs. It's like saying we shouldn't bring out a car because people making horse carriages for horses would be out of business. This is ridiculous. That excuse has been used as a false paradigm so that people will stay in line with the power elite that have the power they have. And so we have to say to our leaders and to each other, let's find a way to come together. Those who are engineers and scientists, those of us who are leaders in the new energy movement, the public who are concerned about the environment and energy, and those who have the resources financially to do this. Not any one person, certainly not me, can do all this. Let me tell you a little secret about myself. I can't hook up a DVD player. My wife has to do that. I'm such a stupid... Unless it's a defibrillator for the heart or a respirator for the lungs, forget about it. I'm an idiot with machines. So don't ask me to build one of these things. I can't hook up my DVD player. My wife does that for me. And I'm really terrible with such things. So we need to combine forces. We need to combine this effort. And when we do, then we're going to need to have the strategic leadership to make the run. It's a huge run for the goal. We have this goal, and that's to get it out to the people quickly. Because anytime one of these technologies surfaces, and there have been many, such as the Stan Meyer car that was running on water, and then he died suddenly, and his work had a national security order slapped on it before he died. And now it's sitting in a warehouse somewhere with a family who really doesn't know what to do with it, and it's a very complicated situation. We've been trying to get them to help let us bring this back out, but it's very difficult. And, that may not happen. But the same technology can be done by this gentleman, perhaps, or this gentleman, or this woman. Why not? I don't have that skill set, but someone here might. And here's what will happen if they do, and they can have a discussion with me. And we can do this privately. I'll sign a confidentiality agreement if it's a commercial issue. Is that we will put our entire strategic team behind it, and within weeks to months, it will be seen by billions of people. We will do the largest press conference in history, and we have the people who will get there. And absolutely, if we can test and vet this system so that the scientific certainty is there, it will be disclosed rapidly, long before it's available for sale. Why? Because if you sit on something like this, one of three things are going to happen. Someone's going to come along and offer the group that has it more money than God has to buy them out. This I know because I know people who sold out. Number two, they will be ordered, if they don't sell out, to keep it quiet under threats of all kinds. In the United States, there are over 4,000 patents. Because we had someone in the patent office who was there, a witness to this. 4,000 patents on these kinds of technologies that have been falling under the National Secrecy Act. And there's a Title 35, Section 180 and 185 of the title law, patent law in the United States that allows for a national security seizure. And this has been abused by the power elite to keep these things secret once someone tries to get a patent. So that's a whole problem. And then there are the people who have just been flat out killed. Now, I've had plenty of threats directed at me. It doesn't matter. No one's going to stand me down. And as I said yesterday, if I have to be taken out feet first in a coffin, then I give myself to God, so be it. This is it. And unless you're willing to make that level of commitment, get off the stage, because I can tell you what's coming at you. What I call, politely, Murder Incorporated. And Murder Incorporated are these consortium of interests that will do anything to keep this information from coming out. Now, this means that there has to be a very well thought through strategic plan to get something from a prototype that would sit on that podium that proves this principle of extracting energy from the 0 point or quantum vacuum flux field. I don't want to get too technical. I'm only a country doctor from Virginia, so I don't pretend to be a physicist. I know enough about it to get myself in trouble. But I can describe how it works. And basically these systems, when you look at them and how they're operating, you can bring them forward very quickly as a prototype. Now, it may take a little longer to have a manufacturing and distribution and all of that. But you can certainly bring it out very, very, very quickly in terms of announcing it to the world. And why? Because this is the message of great hope. Imagine what our people all over the world would say when they realize we're not having to destroy the planet to live. We don't have to go back to the Stone Age. We don't have to commit what I call planeticide, the deliberate killing of a planet in order to have lights and air conditioning and run around in cars. This would be such a hopeful event for all of mankind, all of the human race. And our younger generation, people who are my children's age, in their teens and 20s, this would give them a light where when they look into the future right now, they just see catastrophe. So this would be a wonderful event for humanity, but to do that, you've got to have enough people who are the friendlies, I call them, within the power elite who want to see this happen, who have your back. Now, we have those. I wouldn't be alive today if I didn't have a whole group of those. It's not easy to talk about this, but this is how it works. And certainly not all of them support what I'm wanting to do, but enough of them do that when we move forward with this information, they're going to say, great, let's do it with you. And we have now over 160 of these people who are very powerful around the world who would say, if you have something like that, we're not going to do it, but we'll quickly fall in line behind you. So that has taken 19 years for me to build that system. And there's a whole 39-page strategic plan that we have where every line on every sheet of paper is a major strategic action point. And this is all ready to roll if we can get our hands on something that works. Now, we have seen more frauds and more crap going around the world looking for this stuff than you can shake a stick at. There's a lot of nonsense out there. But we've seen some of the real things, too. The problem is the people who have had those have said, it's too dangerous, I've already had threats, and they don't want to do it. One man whose laboratory we were in had amazing stuff, had a dozen of these sort of devices there, and he said to me, well, I don't mind being a little bit of trouble for this cabal, but I don't want to be a major pain in their ass, because they're going to come after me and they've already threatened me. So what we need to do is find both people who understand the science and are inventors who will go the distance without fear and have the courage to do it. And this has been very, very difficult.